In last lecture we started with inheritance. In this lecture I'll continue and I will show you some more features of inheritance. So let's start, open our coding editors and let's see our racing car.js. As I showed you in the previous lecture, when we are calling our function display info, we are calling our display info function of our car.js because it's the next in a proto chain. So one more time, just for a reminder, let's give it a breakpoint. Let's execute this and let's see our display info. So racing car, there is no display info on our proto of our racing car. We have just the racing car function. So it's calling proto here display info function of our car class. All right, so let's specify here the same named function as we are specifying in our car.js. So let's specify here display info function. So I will copy this entire function and I'll provide it to our racing car, and this is called overriding. I am overriding our function of our car.js. Okay, so display info, same function with the same name, but we would like to do here one change. We would like to display here also category. So let's provide here a console log. All right, this brand, this type, this produce here, and I will write here also dash here and $sign curly brackets and this category. Perfect. So let's save this now and let's see what will happen now. So I will execute this. Let's see our racing car. Now then you will check proto. Let's see proto. Here you will see that we have here display info function. We have also this function on a proto of our car.js. As you can see here, there is display info here, but the first display info is in the first proto, which is from a racing car. So this will call this first display info and it will not call the second one. Okay, so I will forward this. So let's say racing car here. I will call this. You can see it's calling Subaru Impreza 2010 and a K1. So this is called also overriding. Okay, if you would still call your first function from your car.js, you can do it. You can use here super keyword and you can call your function. So for example, in our display info, I still want to call my display info from my super class. So I can call it. I can write here super and I can call here display info. This will call display info from my car.js, and then I will display here just simply category. So I can just display here. I will remove this. I will just leave here category. And since this is just the only value we are displaying here, I can just get here category like this, or we can then write here. Yeah, we can write like this. So I will remove, and I will just keep here this category. All right, so console log here this category, and let's see what will happen now. So let's go to our, let's debug our code. All right, so we are calling here display info. Let's step into, we are calling our display info of our racing car. All right, but here on the first line, we are calling display info of a super. Okay, so let's go into, and you can see this will call display info of our car class, and we are displaying here brand, type, and a produce year, which will be Subaru Impreza 2010. Okay, this function will be terminated, and then we will get into back to our display info function of our racing car, and we are consoling log out category, but this will be displayed separately, as you can see here. This will be displayed here as a K1 here, which is not very good, but of course you can optimize this. As I showed you in the previous version of our display info, in our racing car we can just display all of the informations. We don't need to display here separately our category here and call here super over display info. In some cases you want to call your previous implementation of our display info, but in this case it's not necessary. This is just a simple console log. But if you still want to provide here some additional data, we can pass here this category. All right. Okay, let's comment this one here. So I am calling here super display info with also category. Now you are expecting to receive to the display info some parameters. So let's go to our car.js and let's say here additional info. All right, and we can simply display here this additional info. So all right, let's display here like this. $sign curly brackets, this additional info like this. Oops, not this. Okay, this is not on this context on our car, but this is coming from a parameter of this function. Okay, so just additional info, my mistake. Okay, so dash here additional info. Let's save this. Let's call this, and you will see. Now when we will call it this, we are calling super, we are providing also category K1, let's step into, we are getting this additional info here. So when we are consoling log out, we are displaying K1 here. All right, let's step here, return true, and that's basically it. Of course, now when we will display here, let's say car display info, so I will display here car, and I will display here info of my car. This will still display dash here because I am not checking if I have or I don't have additional information in my display info function. So I'll display here like this Mercedes-Benz 1995 undefined, which is not good. But of course, you can also optimize this. We can use here if statement. And let's say for now, I will just create a very simple if statement. You can just do something like this. If we have additional info, so if additional info, then display me this console log. All right. Like this, display me this console log, otherwise else display me this console log without initial info. All right, so now we optimize this a little bit more, so it's working also with a racing car. All right, so let's save this. Now it should work. So let's run this code and let's see. Now we are displaying Super Impreza 2010 K1, and here just a Mercedes-Benz 95. So yeah, now it's working, perfect. All right, so what else I wanted to show you? Let's see. So this overriding, we provided function display info. We are calling here super display info, and I also showed you proto chain, how our functions are called. It's always checking first proto. If there is function is not found, is checking the next proto from a class we are inheriting from. So our chain is going like this. First, we are checking a racing car, then we are checking our car because we are inheriting from a car, and then we are checking proto of an object itself because everything basically is inherited from an object. Even strings, booleans, numbers, your cars, and so on. And I can prove it to you. All right, so let's see, we have here our app.js. And what I would like to change here is prototype of an object itself. As you saw, when we are creating instances of our cars, of strings, or anything, we are using prototype, and this prototype is saved as a proto in an instance of a class. Okay, so classes has a prototypes, and these prototypes are on the protos of our instances. So in a theory, we should be able to access object because everything should be inherited from an object. We should be able to access prototype, all right? And on a prototype, we should add here a new property, and this will be new function. Let's say this will be function display info, all right? Oops, it will be function. So I will assign here function like this. And please provide this function outside of the run app, just outside here. Okay, so this is a function, and let's see. I will write here console log, and I will write here as a displaying object info. All right, so now we are defining display info function on the object prototype itself. Very interesting. Now, we'll change our car. Let's go to our car, and I will remove display info from a car for now. Okay, so just comment it out. So we don't have any display info function on our car. So let's save this. Let's go to our racing car, and let's do the same for our racing car. So I will comment this out. Perfect. And let's see our app.js. So you can see now display info doesn't exist on a racing car. It doesn't exist on a car, but we have here a prototype display info on an object. Let's run this code. All right, so let's see. Let's see racing car, first proto, there is no display info. Let's say second proto, there is no display info. Let's see third proto, and here is display info. Okay, so our function is here. Now when I will execute this, displaying object info. Now displaying object info on our racing car, on our car itself. All right, guys, so now you can see proto chain in action. And as I told you, everything is inherited basically from an object. So I should be able to call this function on a strings. Okay, so then I will define, for example, empty string. I can access here display info. All right. When I have a boolean true, I can access here display info. If I have a numerical value, display info. All right. So what else? Okay, numbers we need to define differently. We need to wrap them in brackets like this. All right. Representing bracket like this. Okay, display info. Okay, what else? The data structure, we have display info of strings true 19, and I think that should be enough to show my point. Okay, so let's keep here debugger, the breakpoint. Let's run this. All right, and now let's see display object info. I will make it bigger. And now we will see that we'll be calling here display info on a string. We'll be calling here display info on a boolean, and we'll be calling here display info on a number itself. All right, and also I can call this on an array. So if I have a cars, I can call here display info. I can call it on an empty array, display info. All right, so let's continue with this. Yeah, let's run this. All right, so display info is called. All right, maybe not on our cars. Let's see. Can access cars before. Okay, of course. We need to provide them after we are initializing cars. So here, of course, after cars. My mistake. All right, so one more time. Display info was called on all of our data. Perfect. Okay, I will keep it as it is right now. As you could see, inheritance in action. And I think that should be it for this lecture. We'll continue also with inheritance in the next one, but I don't want to keep long lectures, and I would like to focus in the next lecture is simplifying our constructor of a racing car, because it is a little bit redundant to type here all the time brand type year, also super brand type year, and so on. So guys, we will do this optimization, and then we'll take a look on some other topics. So guys, that should be it from this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers guys.